Samson, a name that evokes the brightness of the sun, holds an enthralling story. Born a Nazirite, he was bound by vows that forbade him from consuming alcohol or cutting his hair. His life's path was marked by trials related to women, including a failed marriage, an anonymous mistress, and ultimately, his affair with Delilah, his lover. However, there is widespread curiosity about the true magnitude of Samson's strength. Notably, he once slew a lion using nothing but his hands. The incident with the lion occurred during a time when Samson was resolute in marrying a Philistine woman, an enemy of Israel. Despite his parents' attempts to dissuade him, Samson was adamant. On his way to see her, a young lion roared aggressively at him. However, empowered by the Spirit of the Lord, he had the strength to rip it apart as easily as one might a young goat. Intriguingly, Samson kept this feat a secret, not even revealing it to his parents. After meeting the woman and approving of her, he returned later to marry her. On this journey, he found the lion's carcass, now a home to bees and honey. He gathered the honey with his hands and ate it, still keeping the source of the honey unknown to his parents. In Timnah, as the grand wedding feast was being prepared, Samson presented a riddle to his 30 companions. He promised a set of clothes to each who could solve it, and if they failed, they were to give him the same. The riddle, inspired by his encounter with the lion and the discovery of honey in its carcass, was, "Out of the eater came something to eat, and out of the strong came something sweet." Unable to decipher the riddle, the men coerced Samson's wife, threatening her to extract the answer from him. Distraught, she confronted Samson, accusing him of not loving her as he had shared a riddle with her people but not the solution. Samson retorted, saying he hadn't even told his parents, so why would he tell her? Throughout the 7-day feast, she wept and persisted until, on the 7th day, worn down by her insistence, Samson disclosed the answer. She relayed it to her people. Just before sunset on the 7th day, the men of the city approached Samson, quoting from Judges chapter 14, verses 19 to 20. "What is sweeter than honey? What is stronger than a lion?" Samson, realizing their deceit, said, "If you had not plowed with my heifer, you would not have solved my riddle." Filled with the Spirit of the Lord, Samson went to Ashkelon, where he killed 30 men, took their garments, and gave them to those who had unraveled his riddle. Samson's saga with the Philistines continued with further turmoil. During the wheat harvest season, he decided to visit his wife, bringing a young goat as a peace offering. However, her father barred his entry, confessing that believing Samson despised her, he had given her to another man, suggesting her younger sister as an alternative. Enraged, Samson declared his justified revenge against the Philistines. In a unique act of vengeance, Samson captured 300 foxes, tying them in pairs by their tails and attaching a torch to each pair. He then set the torches ablaze and released the foxes into the Philistines' fields. This act led to the destruction of their grain, vineyards, and olive groves. When the Philistines learned it was Samson who had caused this destruction, they retaliated by burning his wife and her father to death. This cycle of violence escalated further when the Philistines advanced against him. The men of Judah, fearing for their safety, decided to bind Samson and surrender him to the Philistines. Samson consented to this arrangement under the condition that his own people would not harm him. This decision reflected the state of the Judahites, who, acting as vassals, chose to betray one of their own in favor of appeasing their oppressors, rather than joining forces with Samson to break free from their subjugation. If you've been blessed by our content and wish to continue this journey through the biblical teachings with us, please consider subscribing and ringing the notification bell. As Samson's story neared its climax, he demonstrated his extraordinary strength yet again. In one notable incident, believing they had trapped him, the citizens of a city were proven wrong when, at midnight, Samson rose, effortlessly uprooted the city gates along with their posts and bar, and carried them on his shoulders to the top of a hill facing Hebron, an impressive feat covering nearly 40 miles. The pivotal moment in Samson's tale, however, involved Delilah, a Philistine woman with whom he fell in love. When the Philistine lords learned of their relationship, they promised Delilah a substantial reward to uncover the secret behind Samson's immense strength. In a series of deceptive tests, Samson first misled Delilah by claiming his strength would fail if bound with 7 fresh bowstrings. Despite her attempt to subdue him using this method, Samson easily broke free. In a second test, he suggested new ropes would weaken him, but again, he effortlessly liberated himself when she tried this approach. However, Samson's third and final disclosure proved to be his downfall. He revealed that weaving his 7 locks of hair into a loom and securing them with a pin would sap his strength. Delilah, seizing the opportunity, lulled him to sleep, executed this very act, and then alerted him of an imminent Philistine attack. Samson, unaware of his loss of strength, awoke and attempted to free himself as before, pulling up the pin and the loom with the fabric. But this time, his strength had truly abandoned him. In a monumental act that marked the culmination of his struggles with the Philistines, Samson brought about the destruction of the temple of Dagon. In this final, defiant display of his strength, he caused the temple to collapse, resulting in the deaths of 3,000 people, including himself. Earlier, Delilah had made another attempt to uncover the source of Samson's strength, following his misleading advice. She tied him with freshly woven ropes, alerting him that the Philistines were about to seize him. But once more, Samson easily snapped the ropes, demonstrating that these attempts were futile against his divine strength. One of his most iconic feats was when he went out and seized the doors of the city gate along with their 2 posts. Showcasing his extraordinary physical prowess, he lifted them onto his shoulders and carried them to the top of a hill facing Hebron. This act was not just a testament to his immense physical power, but also a symbol of God's ability to use even the most improbable means to accomplish his divine purposes. Through Samson, it was shown that God could achieve supernatural victories, regardless of the human instrument or the odds. The end of Samson's life is marked by a poignant tragedy, one that perhaps could have been avoided. He possessed immense potential to lead his people and deliver them from Philistine oppression, yet his story concluded in a series of devastating setbacks. Samson's downfall was accelerated by a combination of disobedience, defeat, disgrace, and destruction. His life serves as a powerful reminder of the insidious nature of sin. It has the capacity to infiltrate every facet of our existence, numbing and blinding us to its consequences. This lesson is crucial. Sin often leads us further than we intend to go, keeps us longer than we wish to stay, and exacts a higher price than we are willing to pay. Another notable aspect of Samson's character was his inclination towards vengeance. He often harbored deep resentment when circumstances did not align with his desires. Particularly telling was his assertion of a right to exact revenge, a mindset that aligns more with the ethos of the Philistines and contrasts sharply with Christ's teachings of forgiveness and love. Despite the many flaws and missteps in his life, it's significant that Samson turned back to God in his final moments. This return to faith, despite the trials and tribulations he faced, adds a layer of redemption to his otherwise tragic story. Samson's journey, with its highs and lows, serves as a complex tapestry of human frailty, divine strength, and the possibility of redemption. Samson's death played a crucial role in the ongoing conflict between the Philistines and the Israelites. His actions significantly disrupted the Philistines' oppressive reign, setting the stage for further developments as detailed in 1 Samuel chapter 7, verses 7 and 14. When the Philistine rulers learned that the Israelites had gathered at Mizpah, they organized their forces and advanced. This mobilization instilled deep fear in the Israelites, who were acutely aware of the approaching threat. In their fear, they implored Samuel not to cease praying to the Lord for their salvation from the Philistine threat. In response, Samuel offered a young lamb as a burnt offering to the Lord, fervently praying for Israel's deliverance. As Samuel was making the sacrifice, the Philistines drew close to engage the Israelites in battle. However, on that day, a divine intervention occurred. The Lord responded with a formidable display of power, unleashing thunder so loud that it caused the Philistines to panic and fall into disarray. This divine intervention provided the Israelites with a significant advantage. Seizing the moment, they rushed from Mizpah and pursued the retreating Philistines. In this counterattack, they inflicted heavy casualties on their enemies, chasing and defeating them all the way to a point below Beth-kar. This victory marked a turning point, showcasing the Lord's power to protect and fight for the Israelites, altering the dynamics between the two nations. The story of Samson, replete with its highs and lows, illustrates a profound truth about faith and human imperfection. Despite his many flaws and the tumultuous nature of his life, God recognized Samson as a man of faith. This acknowledgement is evident from Samson's inclusion in what is often referred to as the Hall of Heroes of Faith, highlighting the role faith played in his life. The narrative of the Hall of Heroes of Faith reveals that none of its members were without fault. Samson, known as the strongest man to have ever lived, derived his strength from God. However, it wasn't just his physical strength that defined him. It was his willingness to let God work through him, despite his human weaknesses and failings. This concept resonates with the teachings in James chapter 4, verse 8 of the Amplified Bible, which emphasizes the importance of drawing near to God with a sincere heart. It encourages self-reflection and a movement towards purification and single-minded devotion. The verse implies that God is ready to meet us at our point of need and guide us towards spiritual growth and fulfillment if we are open to his influence. Samson's life story, therefore, serves as a reminder of the power of faith and the possibility of redemption, regardless of one's past. It underscores the idea that God can use even the most flawed individuals for his purposes, and that true strength lies in acknowledging and depending on divine power. Samson's legacy is a testament to the transformative potential of faith and the grace that comes with yielding to God's will. Thank you immensely for tuning into today's video. Your insights, inquiries, and personal reflections on today's topic are truly invaluable to us. We encourage you to share your thoughts in the comments section below. May the Word of God persistently guide and enrich your life in abundance. Until we meet again for our next study, remain firmly anchored in faith, love, and the boundless grace of God.